Hey, what's up? I'm Keys. I'm back in Pattaya for a few days, and in today's video I'm going to give you 7 common mistakes that people make here in Pattaya and tell you how you can avoid them. So number 7, and probably the first thing you're going to do before coming here to Pattaya, is booking your hotel, and you need to be careful when booking a hotel here. Some of the hotels advertise their prices on websites like booking.com and places like that, but what you don't see is that they actually have hidden fees. Well, I don't want to say hidden fees, they have extra fees that are just not in the advertised price, so you need to look really carefully when doing that. One thing I always recommend doing when booking a hotel is to read the reviews of other people that have stayed there. I've nearly been caught out for this many times myself, and that's how I managed to find out, was when I was reading the reviews and people find out that once you check out, you actually need to pay more money again. For whatever reason, this seems to be a thing here more in Pattaya than I've noticed anywhere else that I've traveled around. So number 6 is the taxis. So for the longest time, it had been fine to just get in a taxi and they'll just automatically put the meter on for you. But it seems like since tourism's kind of resumed, they've started to do that thing again where you get in and they'll say, oh, 100 baht or 200 baht. Ridiculous prices to go anywhere. It had been really nice to just be able to get in a taxi and be charged a fair amount for wherever you go. Now I've even found times where I'll ask them, do you have a meter? And they say yes. You get in, they start driving, and then they'll try and negotiate a price with you while you're driving. So what I do recommend doing is downloading an app like Bolt or Grab. Bolt I find is usually cheaper, and that's one of the best apps. Every now and then the prices surge because high demand, and then you can jump on Grab and it can be cheaper, but I do find generally Bolt is the cheapest way to get around here. The great thing about the app too is you don't need to put your credit card or anything on there. You can just pay the driver cash as normal, and you know that way you're not going to get ripped off. So here in Pattaya, these Baht buses, which one's just going past me here, they're 10 baht to just jump on and jump off wherever you want. They just loop around Beach Road and Second Road. They're a great way to get around here. Number 5 is bike rental, and I could almost make an entire video just on this topic alone. There's so many different things that could go wrong when renting a bike here in Thailand. And when you rent a bike, the first thing you should do is check very carefully to see if there's any existing damage on the bike. You don't want to be in a situation where you return the bike and you get blamed for the damage that was already on there. So take a really good look at it. If there is any damage, take photos, take video, whatever you need to do just to protect yourself. The next thing to be aware of, it's very easy to get these bikes. The people that rent out the bikes, they don't care if you have the right license, the wrong license, if you wear a helmet or you don't wear a helmet. Now, if you do get a bike and you don't have the proper license and you do get stopped, then you're gonna have to pay money to get out of that situation. Another common thing that people do is ride these without helmets. A lot of the times you go rent bikes and they don't even offer you a helmet when you rent the bike. But what you need to be aware of is there's police everywhere, and that's an easy money grab for them if they decide to pull you over and you're not wearing a helmet. And then while the police have you, they can also check, do you have the right license? And this can end up being a really expensive stop for you. What you need to be aware of is that a lot of insurance companies don't cover motorcycle accidents here in Thailand, and some of the ones that do, you need to really read the fine print, because if you're riding unlicensed or without the proper paperwork, that may void the insurance. And the last thing is, if you do rent a motorcycle here and somehow get into an accident, you can be forced to pay ridiculous amounts of money for damages and things like that, and you almost don't have a leg to stand on. It's a very difficult process to fight that. So number 4, and something I have a little personal experience with, is the infamous jet ski scams. The jet ski scams are very common here in Thailand, and it's not to say that every single one of these guys, they're just looking to scam everyone, but it is a thing that does happen here from time to time. The common scams are, you may return a jet ski that has some damage on it, and the damage was there before you took out the jet ski, but they'll accuse you of either running into another person or running over some shallow rocks and damaging the jet ski. At the start of hiring one of these, you sign a contract that says you're basically liable for anything, and the amounts that they can charge you can be absolutely ridiculous. There's a lot of stories online. There's some other YouTube videos on this as well, but if you get into that situation, you're screwed basically. So my experience with this was years ago. I was in Phuket with 2 friends, and we all rented jet skis and went out having a great time. We're out way out in the middle of nowhere, out in the ocean, and one of the jet skis ran out of petrol. So I didn't want to leave my friend there. So because there was 3 of us, I stayed with my friend way out there in the middle of nowhere. And my other friend went back to shore to tell them what had happened and they could bring us back or bring out more petrol or something like that. The guys came out, they bought more petrol, we filled up the jet ski and came back to shore. And when we got back to shore, they told us we'd all gone over our time and we needed to pay more money. We needed to pay for the extra petrol. They were somehow blaming us for the jet ski running out of petrol. This was getting really ugly really quickly. So we were just trying to calm them down at this point. They're basically threatening us at this point, saying we had to pay, we'd signed the contract and everything. So we got the police involved and that didn't really help anything. The police are like, well, you signed the contract, so you have to do what they say. We actually didn't need to pay much and it wasn't that big of a deal to get out. We just had to pay for going over time, basically. We just felt it was unfair that we were charged for going over time when it wasn't our fault to begin with. So moral of the story, check the jet ski extensively before getting on it. And don't worry, like not everyone is out there to rip you off. It's just something you need to be really careful of. Oh man, I just did something really fucking stupid. Is to be careful using the ATMs here. So I actually have a little bit of experience with this as well. So here in Thailand, your card comes out after you've taken the money. So in Australia and many other countries, the first thing to come out is the card and then you get your money and then you can go. But here in Thailand, for whatever reason, your card stays in the machine until the very end. After you've taken the money, it asks you if you want a receipt, you say no. Then it seems to sit in there for a second or two before it's free. This is a very common mistake to make here in Thailand. The last time I did, I was in Bangkok and I'd walked out of the bank. I got halfway across the road and I remembered that my card was still in there and running back, and thankfully it was still in there. The problem is here in Thailand, a lot of time when you're going to the ATM, you're drunk and that's why you're going to an ATM. So that's why it's easy to forget. Or if you're distracted at all, the time I did it, I was actually on the phone, so I was distracted by my phone call at the time. I like this look. Good guys go to heaven, bad guys go to Pattaya. This ties in really well with my next point. So if you come to Pattaya, there is a 100% chance you're gonna end up sitting in a bar drinking somewhere. So this is where things can go really wrong. So number one is bill padding, and that's where you'll have your bill on the table, and every time you order another drink, they just write on a receipt and stick it in the bowl. But the problem is, as you drink more and more, you start to forget exactly what you've had, and you can come to a stage where you go to pay the bill and you think there's no way I've had that much to drink, but you can't argue with them. There's nothing you can do at that stage, basically. So the best thing to do, if you're gonna be drinking a lot and you're not sure about this, is to just pay each time, especially if you're in a busy place or you're gonna be moving around a lot. It's really hard to keep an eye on what's actually happening. Now, I don't want to say this happens a lot, but it is a thing that happens and something you need to be careful of. The next thing you need to be careful of is buying drinks for girls. This can get really expensive. So a lot of the places, drinks for girls can be 2 to 3 times the regular price of a normal drink that you'll buy for yourself. It always seems like if you're in a situation like that and you're buying a girl drink, there'll be a friend that's just started working there. It's her first week in the bar. She's never worked in a bar before. Can you buy her a drink? Because no one's bought her a drink all night. And that's where it starts. You know, there's a million different stories. Like, there's ways to suck you in. You know, buy a drink for my friend. She's lonely. My friend's heartbroken or something. Sometimes you can buy them drinks and they'll take it upon themselves to get themselves a second drink as well. So this can add up really, really quickly. And if it's not something you're budgeting for or you're expecting, you can get quite a shock at the end. You know, it's funny, people come to Thailand because it's really cheap here. You can have a really cheap holiday. You can go out, socialize, eat in great restaurants and not spend that much money, but you can actually spend just as much. You can actually spend more here on a big night out than you would back in the West. And then number one, and my personal favorite, and that's don't be a dick here in Pattaya. So Pattaya is actually really, really small. It may seem like a big place and there's a lot of people here, lots of girls here, but it's actually really small and everyone knows each other, everyone knows everyone's business. And if you do the wrong thing here, everyone is going to find out. The girls here, they all talk to each other, the locals all talk to each other. There is group chats, there are discords, message boards, forums, everything. Everyone is talking to each other all the time. I actually had an instance. The last time I came down here, I came by private car and I went from Bangkok to here and I didn't tell anyone I was coming. I wasn't planning to come. It was just a last minute decision. I just booked a car, jumped in and came down. Now I arrived here, check into my hotel, jump in the shower, freshen up, and I was planning to message all my friends and see who was out and about and see who wanted to hang out. And when I checked my phone, someone had already messaged me saying, oh, hey, you're in Pattaya, like, do you want to hang out tonight? I thought, how the hell do you know I'm in Pattaya? I didn't tell anyone I was coming. I didn't see anyone. I literally got a car to my hotel, walked out, checked into the hotel. She ended up telling me one of her friends saw me in the back of the car as I was coming in, I guess down Beach Road or whatever, and she texted her to say, oh, Adam's here in town at the moment. So be careful, it's very small here and everyone knows everything. All right, we're gonna wrap the video up here. I hope you enjoyed this. If you've experienced any of these, I've experienced a couple of them myself, but if you've experienced any of these, leave me a comment below, tell me the story. I read every single one of the comments and I always find it interesting when other people have had similar experiences to me. So anyway, as always, thanks for watching. See you next time.